Oh boy. So I didn't want to really talk about this article. I saw it yesterday. I kind of, well, yeah, I kind of thought about doing a video, but my real plan had been to start doing more uploading next week. But something about this just kept bothering me. And so, yeah, I kind of have to come at it today. Now, when it comes to Wizard of the Coast's products, I was more attracted to Magic the Gathering than I was Dungeons and Dragons. Although, I was intrigued by the idea of Dungeons and Dragons. So, it's all fantasy stuff. So, yeah, I've not played it. I've not played it. I don't know anybody who's played it, so I'm not going to pretend to be a fan or anything like that. But I find just what's going on around this to be quite interesting and not interesting in a good way. So, as you can see on the headlines, leaked open game license agreement for Dungeons and Dragons reportedly forbids bigoted and discriminatory content on new and old products. So, on its face, I know it, like everything that goes with on its face, you would think it would be a good idea. Now, personally, I don't because I don't like the idea of containing people's imaginations and things that are supposed to be fantasy, things that are supposed to be imaginative. I don't think you should go in and, control the way that they, you know, create things. So, yeah, I kind of have a bit of a problem with that, just even on its face, because the idea of bigoted and discriminatory content, like it is such a vague term, especially nowadays, and that really kind of was the thing that caught my attention. It was just that kind of phrasing that for me as someone who, is intrigued by the idea of Dungeons and Dragons, like there'd be no way I would want to actually engage in it because this is the way you're going. I mean, technically, it was the same thing with Magic the Gathering. I wanted to try to get into it. I tried getting into it. I saw the silliness of the politics that was beginning to go, well, not beginning, but it was kind of solidifying around it. And I thought, yeah, there's just no way that I want to do this. And so, you know, essentially where I'm coming from is this whole thing is really kind of silly. And there's one part, there's one part that really kind of bothered me. And it is there's one part, and I'm trying to find it right now as I'm scrolling through, but it's the idea of race. Because here we go. Yes, there, found it. You know, since 2020, some have tried to pin claims of racism against Dungeons and Dragons. This began with op eds from hobby journalists claiming orcs and their inherent evil nature were negative stereotypes of black people. Yeah, that, as a black person, that bothered me so much because one of the things that I just literally cannot stand is these racist journalists who claim that they're fighting against evil, who turn around because you have to be a racist person to turn around and claim that an orc represents black people because it doesn't. It doesn't. Nowhere in the creation of it were black people even thought of. And so for you to tie orcs and the evil of orcs to black people, that tells me exactly who you are as a person. And so, because we're talking fantasy here, we're talking fantasy creatures. And, it goes back to, and I think this was a couple of years ago, where there was an Asian author who was getting backlash because she wrote a fantasy novel that had slavery as part of it. And people got mad because the only people who have ever suffered anything of anything is black people. And I cannot, like, obviously I can't stand it because here I am talking about it. And it's just that victim mentality that they insist on putting on black people and insist on telling black people you can never achieve anything, you can never do anything, and your life will never go anywhere unless you listen to us racist progressives, because let's be honest, they usually tend to be more progressive, us racist white progressives telling you and fighting for you because we are the ones that are going to tell you what you are going to do. And I really kind of like, in something like this, it was kind of, yeah, it definitely is a problem. And, it definitely was the thing that really kind of got me to do this article. So, okay, let me calm down a bit. So, in terms of this, it is the idea of someone who, and let's be honest, these people likely weren't people playing Dungeons and Dragons anyway, or if they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, they were specifically coming to Dungeons and Dragons to destroy it from within, to turn it into a place for them, you know. And so, because now here we are, and we can no longer have fantasy anything. You can't call orcs evil. You can't, like, so now we're eroding morality because we're going to turn around and we're going to say that those fantasy creatures represent minority or underrepresented people, as they like to say. And so if you play this game and you see things in a different way from them, that makes you an evil person. I'm sure I would be an evil racist person because I'm sitting here calling out the problem of don't tie black people or other minorities to fantasy creatures, because that essentially should be a standard thing. We shouldn't have to tie it together, like an evil an evil creature. But okay, let's delve even deeper because I just thought about because I just thought about uh what just happened with the Witcher Blood Origins, and even that. And so, yeah, I have to stop myself because it really is. These are people who are evil, do evil, and don't think that they're evil. So the characters and things that they create are actually evil people, but they think that they're heroes. The Willow series would be another example of that. So, like, when you look at anything of this, like when you look at all of these modern kind of fantasies that they're trying to build and things like that, either on Netflix or Amazon that has their series, the heroes that we're supposed to cheer for are thoroughly unlikable. I mean, especially if they're a female. And as a female, I find that even more offensive, because here you are, you have men who have to be weakened so you can have these evil women act as if they're stronger than everyone. And, the evil that is done, you're told you're supposed to find that good. And so, yeah, I can't say that I'm surprised, because if you go through, I have videos of, I have videos talking about, Hollywood and how they don't care. And, and certainly I would put a lot of these companies nowadays in that position of not caring because it's more about the optics to them. It's more about, you know, the cred that they get on social media, the number of likes, the number of retweets, and they'll ignore their actual audience who looks at that and says, this doesn't make sense, and you're taking all the fun out of it. So when I looked at this article and I read through it, essentially that was kind of the takeaway that I got from it. Wizards of the Coast is taking all the fun out of what these games were supposed to be. And they're telling you you can only have fun the way that we say that you can have fun. And you can't really have fun, you know, like you can't really have fun if all you're going to do is play the game based on finding things to be offended about, or playing the game worried about someone else's feelings who may not even be in your group, who may not even be a customer, who likely isn't even interested in this at all. So, it basically, if there's one thing that I would say that this article, essentially highlights for me, is it is that continued growing trend of companies going to their customers and saying, we loathe you. We despise everything about you. We cannot stand you. We don't want you to be our customers. And then getting mad when those customers go away and the people that are supposed to replace that customer base doesn't actually come. Because, you're for these companies, you're courting people that are not even your customer base. You're courting people that don't even care about what you are doing. You're courting people that they may not even have the money to put into this kind of thing. So you're running away the people that have done this and have been your customer base and have gone with you for decades. You're getting rid of them to court a group of people who are only, if they do it, it's only because it's chic at the moment. And the moment they get bored with it, they'll just easily walk away and you'll have nothing because you will have gotten rid of your customer base. And so, certainly, you know, for me, just even in terms of being a creative, now I wouldn't do I wouldn't do a licensing product like this anyway because I don't want to be attached to anything that would tell me how to do what I want to do. Like, because I don't agree with that anyway. I don't think that you check, now of course there are some exceptions. There are, those kind of writers and artists and things like that that given them parameters really kind of helps them, you know, create greatly. But like that should be, but technically that's just in things of I want a mountain scene, or I want a show that's like this, or I want a product that's like this. That's not coming in with, vague terms of don't make it be bigoted, don't make it discriminatory, don't make it make it so sanitized that there's literally nothing to it. And even still, because for all that Wizards of the Coast has gone out of their way to be as progressive as possible and to continue to be progressive, it hasn't actually helped them not get criticism. So they've still been criticized by the same people. Like they've still been criticized by the same people. So it hasn't helped them at all. It's not going to help them because you're talking about an offense mob who's literally looking for anything to be offended by. And what's worse, as I said earlier, what's worse is they're pushing their racist and bigoted views and projecting it onto others and are proclaiming that they are in the right when realistically, in any other light, you would call them a villain. So we're literally letting the villains write the stories now. And yeah, I can't find myself liking that. So yeah, that kind of, I know it's a rambling video, but it's kind of like I said, it's definitely a thought process, and it definitely was something that, I needed to get out because I needed to. But yeah, just if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. And if you like this, click the like button, click the subscribe button, comment, share, do all of that. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.